listening. I miss our coffee chats.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh man. Look at that. Look, Dave, you're the best, man. Appreciate it. Let's by the way, Serge, how are you doing on time? Are you guys
Good.
done for the day?
I'm good. Yeah, good
Okay.
to go. We're
Okay,
done
cool.
for the day. So.
All right. All right. So let's move on to this right here. So what's going on now here?
So now we're moving into just a little bit. So continuing movement and tracking, but also now adding a couple of little different pieces in. So they'll start behind the central mannequin. They've got to move across to the far side. So to Liv's left to deal with a shot, and then come back in. And now we're into a little bit of a block or a spread. So now it's a timing piece. So you can see in there, Katie just kind of runs into it. It was the initial one. What we're looking for is, I always talk to them about kind of these are two different actions. So it's get across. The mannequin's going to screen her for a second so she can't see the ball in the line and catch. Now you're going to come in, set for a second, and now you got to find your timing to be able to deal with that. The first round was more of a block. The second round, we went into a spread. I like to give them a little bit of variety because I feel like the spread has become the answer to everything. I think it's a great tool. I also think you have to look at the person and make sure it works for them. So this is something that we've added into Katie's game that was something that we needed to refine. And I think she's gotten better at it. But being 6'2", when she goes to block, she can take up more of the goal. When she goes to spread, it takes a lot of time. So her timing for that, it needs the right moment. It has to be, because to get 6'2" to the ground, I use Edward van der Sar with her a lot, because if you watch van der Sar, he was very much into that blocking shape. And I think she's not as tall as van der Sar, but she's very long like he was. So we look at being a little bit more aggressive in her block versus having to go into that spread all the time.
Yeah.
So here are just a couple different, and for me, failure is okay. And I tell our goalkeepers that all the time. Like, if you want to come in here and make it look pretty all the time, you're not going to get better, because it's not. You have to be okay not making a save. You have to be okay playing around with your technique and figuring things out. That's what training is for. On game day, it's going to make you better. I think sometimes you think, again, every ball has to be a save. Every ball has to look perfect. That's not reality for me.
Yeah. No.
Definitely not.
Yeah, and like the block again, it's per the person, it's timing, and I agree. I think it's overused, it's coached wrong. It's not, hey, all these little kids want to do it now. They're not doing it right. They're not doing it the right distance at the right time. And so coaches out there, get it right. Educate yourself on how to use it, when to use it, how to use it with different types of goalkeepers, height, everything. You know how I feel about it, Mike.
No, and I'm personally, like, the way I look at it, Sergio, and I don't know how you feel about it, but like, if like you're seeing right here, like if your body is in such a negative space and there's still plenty of space behind you, then you were too far back on that spread. Because if a spread is effective, you should end up slightly negative, but your shape should still be reasonably positive because you were so tight in with the player when that spread was made.
And for the spread, like, you've got to explore it a little bit and figure out what works for you. And I think one of the best things for Katie was she went and trained with Jill Lloyden just before preseason, with Aubrey, with Kaylin, and it was fantastic because she was able to kind of explore and figure that out. And I got a couple of videos when she left of her going into the spread, and we were able to build off that, which was great, and add another tool to her toolbox. Which at the end of the day, like, you want to acquire as many tools as you can, but the biggest piece is knowing when and where you need to use them. And I think that's a really important piece for us as goalkeeper coaches, is like, equipping them with the tools is great, but you got to teach them when to use it. You don't need a hammer for every job. So you got to figure out when you need a hammer, when you need a screwdriver. And our job is to help them figure that piece out.
I think we've just turned this into a TKI.
I know. I was literally about to say. I was like,
and we know Jill doesn't pay us anything, but apparently it's like the mecca of where to go train off season as a pro is go to New Jersey, to South Jersey, and find Jill Lloyd, and don't get a one-way ticket. You got to go back to your clubs. But yeah, all right, we're gonna have to send this to her.
And then Sergio dropping the names who are training there. It's like she could start charging.
I know. I was like, When was that? I was like,
I was great. I think it was a great learning experience. I was really happy that, going into
I mean, you get all those goalkeepers together at training sessions with a coach like Jill Lloyden and everything. I'm like, I would have just loved to watch that. Not played anymore, guys. Not played. If I was younger, I would have been a part of it. But
oh my gosh. All right. Do you guys have time to go through some of these saves from Louisville season? Anybody?
Absolutely.
I got the plumber, so I've got about 10.
Okay. All right.
I do.
All right, let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so this is against Orlando Pride, I believe, and I think what happens. Oh no, this is not an Orlando Pride, right? This is a Washington game, right?
Yeah.
Is this where? Yeah. So Trinity Rodman comes in. She's slightly cut. It's a slight cutback to the top of the 18. She hits a laser, and look at the movement by Katie to keep tracking that ball the entire time and follow through. What I want to do here, Sergio.
But this is exactly like the drill almost that you did with the ball coming across and watching her drop in a little deeper into position to cover the goal, right? So she doesn't stay too high, and if she does, off the long touch by Trinity, she's done. She won't make the save. So she gives herself a little bit of depth here to cover that space, and it's a great save. It's just absolutely a great save.
Yeah, I mean,
the defender as well. I think Abby Erceg does a great job of helping Katie there, and I think it's the trust of knowing that Abby's taking an angle to take the other side of the goal away, and now Katie can shift and drop and deal with the shot. And I think one of the things we talk about a lot is when to drop and create more time for yourself because of how fast the ball moves, because of how much dip and spin there is on them. You've got to buy yourself some time to be able to see it. And I think exactly right, Saskia. She drops really well to give herself a little bit more time, and then she's able to shift across. And it is a really, really good save. And at this stage, it was 2-0. And this keeps it that way. And then we're able to come out of halftime and score, 2 goals in a relatively quick time in a quick succession to make this game 2-2. Had this gone to 3-0, things changed. So, we talk about big saves and big moments, no matter what's going on in the game.
Hey, Sask.
Hey.
Is that a Rutgers shirt?
It is a Rutgers shirt.
Wow. Was that intentional, or did something happen today? A big announcement or anything?
No, I just give shout outs,
Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
I have to give little nods to things every once in a while. Actually, I was down on my laundry.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. Rutgers.
Oh my gosh. What's up, Brody?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
How's the audio?
Audio's great, man.
Yep. Hey, Brody.
Yeah.
Hey, Sask, how are you?
I'm good.
Man. Oh man, this is what was I going to say right here? Oh, I'm gonna remove this right here. Brody, so I got all the different things that you sent. So we've got 17. Sask, Brody is more prepared than any human being. If you're doing a topic called acquiring data, the person's going to be prepared. They're going to have a lot of content. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. And thankfully,
you've spoken too soon.
No, dude, it's awesome. It's awesome. And thankfully the Champions League gods smiled upon us to make sure that game did not conflict with this podcast in any way whatsoever.
Well, we called them, right?
We did. We called them and we said, if Man City could just handedly take care of this game, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But still have Courtois have some great saves that we could talk about. So, that's how we did it. That's how we did it. Did I hear an old school ring?
I love my old school ring. Stop it.
Wait, that was your phone?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh my God. That's amazing. All right. All right. If everybody's good to go, we will just get this going. Here we go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from West Hollywood, California. with me. You know her as Are You Rah Rah Rutgers alum, 99 World Cup winner, Saskia Weber.
I had to.
You had to. You had to.
I was feeling Rutgers today.
Well, you know, somebody that knows a little bit about Rutgers and the whole New York, New Jersey metropolitan area is goalkeeper coach for Gotham FC, Brody Sams, making his triumphant return to Inside the 18. What's up, dude?
How you going? It's great to be back. It's a real honor.
Honestly, I mean, so just to give you a little bit of heads up right here, Brody was like, I am humbled and honored anytime I get invited to come back on the show, because back when he was in Australia, this was one of the few ways during the pandemic that he was able to get content from high quality, world-class people. And I go, and Brody, and now you're one of those high quality, world-class people. So
Exactly.
How's that feel?
I don't speak too soon. Don't speak too soon. But it's yeah, like I say, it's awesome to be here. Speaking to you guys is great. I love what you do for the goalkeeping community, and it's awesome to now play a little small role.
Well, you know, I mean, I think one of the things, you know, what's obviously, you know, really fascinating for you, Brody, is that, you know, you came to the United States last year, you took the job at Gotham, and let's just say it was a transitional year. You know, obviously a lot of people moved. There were a lot of different pieces that came in, and it's been very successful the second year. So why don't you kind of fill everybody in and what's been going on?
Yeah, it is. It's very different. It's a great experience for me to have a second year in the NWSL. You know, with a whole new staff, very different playing group, and even a new goalkeeping department. I mean, we had Mish, who was there last year, but we've got Abby and Mandy coming in this year. So it's kind of like a fresh start and an opportunity to try things again. And obviously, while learning to integrate with the new staff, new coaches, they're learning about the league, learning about the club. So yeah, it's been nonstop again this year, but I wouldn't have it any other way. That's for sure.
You know, Suska, I know that you've been through, you know, similar situations, you know, obviously in your playing career where new staff has come in, or you as a goalkeeper have come into a new environment. You know, how important is it that the players, you know, immediately mesh with that new coaching staff?
Well, it's incredibly important. I mean, I transferred from Philly to New York. So luckily, like, my Rutgers college coach was there and stuff, so that helped. But you have to mesh, and in a professional environment, and especially you gotta hit the ground running. So, you know, you can't take 4 months to figure it out. You know, you got to get it figured out by the time the season starts. And if you're not clicking and you're not meshing, that's what trades are for. I mean, I'm just going to be blunt. So
100%.
I love the fact, and Brody, feel free to step in at any time right here. But I do want to ask you, you know, because I mean, I don't want to say that, you know, it was a disappointment last year, because there's always going to be, you know, small successes, you know, even when a season from the standing standpoint, you know, isn't going your direction. But it just seems like, what did you all do in this preseason, especially with this new staff and these new goalkeepers? Because you guys are in playoff position right now. I mean, would you ever? Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I mean, you go out talking about bottom of the table to third, but that's what I love about the NWSL. Okay, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's wildly.
So, yeah.
Anyone can beat anyone on any day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But some of the things, I mean, I straight away, you know, got involved with the new coaches and the new staff, and wanted to understand how they wanted to play, how they saw the game. You know, what's their model, how do they train, everything that they need to do, so that I can figure out how I integrate, you know, what I do with that. What do I need to make sure that I'm doing that's translating to how they want to be playing? What do they need their goalkeepers to be doing? Things like that. And so I basically took all of their methodology, presentations and documents, and studied those, and made a goalkeeping version of that for our goalies, that essentially goes, you know, whenever they're doing certain things in moments of the game, what are we doing?
Yes.
So it's just black and white, super specific. And I took the goalkeepers through basically an induction presentation when we first came together. We were in a preseason camp in Florida. And so I basically took them through this is where we're at. We're a new group of people coming together. The realities are that one person's going to play. We've got 3 who are very, very competitive, who want to play. And essentially, this is how we're going to work together through the week, through the month, through the year. And this is what we're going to focus on. This is how we want to play. These are our standards. And that was all off the back of, combining, how I like to work as a goalkeeping coach, what I believe, is the type of goalkeeper that we want to try and develop, and then link that and align that with the new staff, new coach, and obviously the players that we have. And it was the first time that I'd done something like that. I enjoyed it. I probably went too long, but that's me. I like to go on tangents. So but it was good, and I enjoy aligning everything we do and making sure there's a purpose to what we're doing as goalkeepers in every moment, and how that aligns to helping the team succeed.
I was just going to say, if you enjoy going off on tangents, then this is the perfect show for you, because we can definitely.
But Omar's not here.
That's it. Oh man, 5-minute tangent.
I used to go like this with Omar. I used to sit on the screen like that. He's
my
doing
gosh.
great. He's doing absolutely great.
Yeah, he's doing well. We had him on the show a few weeks ago, and he was chatting it up about I don't know. He showed this whole presentation. After a while, I started doing the same thing too. Because then he go, anyway. Long story short, and then we moved on from there. But Susk, I want to talk to you because obviously you're covering the league quite a bit now. As in a lot.
You're covering this weekend.
You're covering the league a lot. As you as an analyst, can you see when a team, when they make a transition like this, when they make a transformation like this, can you see it immediately when you're watching and breaking down their film?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it. Take KC, for example. Like we could all see in the beginning of the season until now that they weren't meshing those first 3 games, especially the way that everybody thought they would. On paper, they should be at, technically everybody's like they're going to be at the top of the table, but they just weren't clicking. And it's taking some time for them. And then other teams are clicking, like you guys are clicking, so, and you can see it. You can see that they're just, the timing's off, the understanding of what the system is and what the goal is as a team, as a group. And it comes down to even like if you're high pressing and, you got one person running like a chicken with their head off and the rest totally out of touch. So it could be as simple as that. But yes, you can see
it. Brody, really quickly, before we move on to the topic, what is the goalkeeper's role on this Gotham team versus last year's team? Has it changed a lot, and based on, you bringing in new people, have you had to adjust because of that?
Yes. So we have a pretty demanding style on our goalkeepers. We want them to be fairly proactive, with the ball, without the ball. We're fairly successful in our high press, but that comes off the back of having a goalkeeper supporting the space behind them. And that's been a massive part of our pre-season is getting them comfortable outside of the goal, really covering the space behind and the outside channels and the half spaces. So that's one of the bigger differences. And for someone like, Michelle, who's historically been more of a goalkeeper to play in her goal, to see her expanding herself still at this stage of her career is awesome. And then obviously Abby and Mandy, who are still a little younger and in the earlier stages, the mid stage of their career, they're taking on, this responsibility quite well. And then obviously with the ball, just making clear and good decisions based on the type of pressure that they're under, and making sure that we're not putting the team under any unnecessary stress or pressure by overplaying, but also not just kicking the ball long for the sake of kicking it long, because that will just equal transitions against us, which we need to be mindful of. So that's the biggest stuff, is the definitely supporting in the height of our defense, and then off the back of that, we need to make sure we're really good at recovering. If we don't, if the ball does go over and we can't come and attack it, or if the defenders are going to win it, our decision making in that process is big. And And there's been a couple of times where you'll see a few slip passes or whatever come through, and the keepers they're fairly proactive and ready to come forward and cover the space, which is something that we're working on, based on how we like to play.
I mean, I think, you brought up something really good right there. And I think it's a good way to start segueing into this topic, Saskia. But before we do that, I want to ask you, because you're a big proponent, and you brought this up with Sergio last week in regards to like, hey, every goalkeeper is going to play differently. Like, even in a system, you still have to use the goalkeeper to their strengths, and some goalkeepers might be more aggressive coming off the line because that's going to be successful for them. Other goalkeepers might be a little bit more passive, yet they still can play within that system because it's effective for them. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think at the same time, like, as a goalkeeper, you do have to conform some. Like, it's not everybody else has to figure out that, you hold more to your line, you play higher out your line. Like, you have to tweak it a little bit for your system, for the pressure on the ball, for the strengths of your team. Like, if you don't have a solid midfield and they're, whoever you're playing against is getting that slip ball in or getting that ball over the top, that bending ball, then you're going to have to tweak it as well. And your defense is going to have to tweak it as well. So there's a give and take on both sides.
Yeah. So let's move into this right here, Brody. And I appreciate you putting all this time into it. And today's topic, guys, is acquiring data, which obviously we're discussing right here in regards to these different goalkeepers and their different actions, et cetera, et cetera. First up, Brody, why don't you kind of give us just a brief, just kind of foundation on why you put this presentation together?
For sure. Well, I think I'm very big on just making things efficient and trying to optimize like our processes of everything. And so looking at data, I think it's very important. Also, historically, there's not been that much data that's specific for goalkeepers. It's not a very studied position, especially historically. So we want to look at all of the things that can help us speed up the process of developing the goalies, because the game's changing so quickly. It's always evolving, but you always look at, the goalkeepers develop later and they develop later. And so why is that the case? But now we've got access to information, largely due to the internet and everything like that. But we should utilize that to speed up the process to get the goalkeepers to a higher level, and use what we've got access to. That's why I think this is so important, because we can get this stuff, but at the same time, there's also a lot of room for this whole area to grow, because goalkeeping, like I say, goalkeeping is a fairly understudied position. There's a lot of room to get information, to figure out what's actually going on and how do we develop it in the most efficient and effective way, so that they're prepared to do the job of performing in a match, which is why we do what we do.
So Saskia, one thing that I love right here that you've put in here, Brody, and Saskia, I think that this is something that's really important, is why is it collected and used? Because Saskia, I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot of people just acquiring data, collecting data, all these notebooks that they have, and then they don't know what they're doing with it. They're just collecting data, but it's not being actually utilized in any sort of efficient way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think in combination with video and everything, like you have to be able, depending on the goalkeeper you're talking to, you have to be able to sit down and break things down and say, listen, like hypothetical data or something, like, you're giving up this many drop balls off a cross or off a corner kick. You're not collecting them, and then you can show it to them, and the data is there. And it's like 9 times out of 10, you're boxing the ball out of the box instead of bringing it down. How do we make that more effective? How do we stop giving up rebounds or a corner kick? And that's it's important. It's important, instead of saying, oh, well, this happened in this one game, but it's like, no, this is a consistent thing. And even if you can collect that data from practice when you're doing something and saying, okay, we were working on this, and 9 times out of 10 or 5 times out of 5, you were doing this. How do we make that more efficient? And it's imperative.
I think one thing, Brody, as we kind of move on into this right here, that I think one of the biggest issues, especially in the youth game, is that the data is inconsistent because the goalkeeper coaches don't see the goalkeepers enough. All they do is they see them in isolation, training with them, at their club practices, but then they never actually see them in games. And yes, youth coaches, I understand there's 60 teams at your club. I don't expect you to be able to see all those goalkeepers. So how can we use any sort of system or organization to acquire data that's going to be relevant, for these goalkeepers?
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously video is some of the biggest thing. You need to get video access nowadays, but having a way to be able to store, like record what you're seeing from each match and record and store it and get that to show cumulative data, like you were saying, Sask, because you want to be able to identify these trends of strengths or weaknesses, and that's what we're doing. We're trying to get someone better by amplifying their strengths and trying to minimize their weaknesses, and how quickly can we identify those is essentially part of our goal. I don't mean to be a pain in the butt, Mike, but is this the latest presentation that I sent through?
It's not. Do you want the other one up?
Anyway,
Yeah.
I just structured it a little bit better to talk through. I'm sorry.
Sure. No worries.
If you can bring that one up. Is this it now?
Yeah, this is it.
Oh, awesome. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because this was the last one I looked at, so I know where we're at now. Yeah. So sorry about that. I know I sent you a few through, but yeah, essentially we need to get the video is massive, and then you need to have a place to be able to input what you're seeing in an objective way that sort of as it allows you to get like the information from. So you can type in, right, they had this many crosses, they punched this many, so on and so forth. But now it needs to give you back information. And so I've been working on something this year because I'll show you it later, but essentially it's something where I can enter the data of what happens during a game, and then at the end of it, it will spit out the efficiency in certain areas and overall during the performance, and then it sort of will take things cumulatively over performances, so whether it's in a training session or in a game, and then start to add those up, and you can really have a look at the different areas of goalkeeping, which again we'll look into soon, specifically, but then overall to have a snapshot of where they're at any one time. And something this year I have had the great opportunity to deal with is I've got 3 goalkeepers who all have a great opinion of themselves and deservedly so. Like they all could be number 1 anywhere.
I love the way you said that.
You know what I mean? Like,
good opinion.
I know. I love that.
I have a good opinion of myself too.
It's confidence. I love that.
It's absolutely. They should be confident in themselves at this level for sure. But the thing that I've noticed since doing this is that there's without objective data and something showing you exactly where you're at, you're kind of just relying on your memory, you're relying on someone's opinion, you're relying on this, and a lot of that, when you tie that with the emotional creature that we are, can take a lot of time and a lot of energy away from what we're here to focus on. And that's where we talk about the speed at which we're trying to develop. A lot of things get in the way, and so if we can have the data saying actually in your distribution in zone 1 you're at this level. In distribution zone 3, you're at this level. When you get the ball back under pressure, you're taking 2 touches and you're unsuccessful, or you're taking 1 touch and you are successful. Like these are things that we can start to find out over time by looking at them. But what you're showing now is essentially speaking about how we were look at data and different ways we can look at data in the professional game. We're lucky we have, multiple ways to find information from the match. We've got all of these different camera angles, and you look historically. Previously, it was just the Paramount Plus footage or your broadcast footage, which is I think a couple of slides back. And if you
that's great that's great footage though. If Saskia's doing the breakdowns, it's still solid footage.
I need my glasses, but yeah.
So, but the footage there essentially I was showing, you can look at the closer broadcast footage for like technical and close information, but you don't see everything there around decisions, space, pressure, everything like that that a goalkeeper's exposed to. So to use tactical footage and even from behind the goal footage, that again is going to speed up the time in which a goalkeeper is perceiving all the information that's directly related to them from the point of view that they're seeing it from, and then they can make these associations. And obviously all this helps us plan training and things like that. But what we also use data, for like these Y Scout reports, like you can see here. You've got your internet platforms that send out information. So I use this for my scouting on the opponents, looking at their set pieces, looking at their goals for shots, where they come from, things like that, which help me arrange, my sessions during the week. And then after games, you've got these websites and things pointing out data as well. So if you look here, you've got the NWSL, and this is the information they put out on a goalkeeper. Now, this is Abby Smith, I believe, on her NWSL season so far. But again, you're looking at it, and what you're seeing is, you see some saves percentages, you see the amount of clean sheets, you see, catches and drops and parries and punches. You see some of those things. You have a look at some of the distribution in there. But for me, I'm just not getting enough information there on the goalkeeper. It gives me a great little overview, but if I'm scouting, if I want to know the development or the weaknesses, I can only get a real overall guide here. And so, we've got to look at other platforms. So we go to StatsBomb, for example. StatsBomb gives great data on other things, like where the shots are coming in, where they're coming from. The next slide, I think, is crosses. So the types of crosses that are coming in and the goalkeepers are facing. And so now you can start putting together, right, where are the goals coming in? Is there any trends to where they're getting conceded in the goal? Or where the crosses coming in? Are they not making any decisions to go for those certain crosses in those certain areas? Or are they? And then what are the actions? And then I think the next page is what you would get from a Y Scout report, if you pull that from the internet. Again, this is Abby, but to look at the type of data that you get, you've got minutes played, positioning, goals conceded, expected goals, shots against, saves. But I just want some more. I want some more information. I want some more.
It doesn't really tell you anything, because you're like,
it doesn't really tell me anything.
Goals conceded, or you look at that, and if it doesn't really tell you, all right, we're 3 of those goals PKs. We're
yeah.
Are they all driven balls far post, which is incredibly important to know, because why are you getting beat far post on a driven ball, across your body? Is it because your positioning's off? But if I'm just looking at a report that says goals conceded, you have no idea.
Exactly.
And Brody, that's one of the things that too, in regards to because there's a lot of people out there, and they look at statistics and they go oh, this is what's going on with this goalkeeper. College recruiting, for instance, they'll say, oh, so-and-so has a great goals against average, but they don't know anything about the context of why they have a great goals against average. It's because they have some 6'6" center back that's just clearing everything.
Well, no, this is good, because if you go back to college, for me, way back when, if you looked at my goals against average, because they did somewhat keep it back in the whatever era. And if you took, let's say, Tracy Ducar, okay, who was at UNC, Tracy Ducar had a 0 point whatever goals against average with 10 saves the entire season. She was playing for UNC, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but where my goals against average was the lowest in college, with 10 saves a game. There's a big, I didn't have the best defense. Sorry, I love you, Rutgers, and everything. But you've got to get more data. You just have to, you're right, Mike. If there's just a monster back line, it doesn't necessarily mean your goalkeeper's playing well.
Exactly. And I think, that, right here, Brody, what you're saying, what the goalkeeper and the team is exposed to. Obviously, Saskia at Rutgers, it sounded like your team was exposed to a lot of shots with separation. So they were clean shots on goal, as opposed to Tracy, who probably, when she did get scored on, it was probably a lot of crowded area, deflections, tight spaces, that sort of thing. So it is really important to get this up. Brody, continue on really about this right here.
So, I mean, if you go back, I think it's 2 or 3 slides, start talking about what we've just mentioned. This is some of the data that we want to actually have a look at. So if you go back one more, I think that's in possession first. So you're So here, like, this is the type of information that we want to start looking at in the different areas. So first of all, you're going to have 3 slides covering the different areas of goalkeeping, which is like your into possession and distribution, and then the next one I think is zonal defense, and the other one is the goals. But essentially,
You're
you know,
going
you're
so
looking at
fast,
this.
Mike.
No, I went backwards by
He's
accident.
skipping,
sorry.
went backwards.
That's what
I
happened.
think but you're looking at this, and we want to understand, like, there's ways to get information on the type of play that the goalkeeper's facing. How's their positioning? What was their perception and decision making? You know, what's their technical action and the execution as a result of the play? You know, if we're talking the distribution, what type of back pass was it? Did it have pressure with it? How many touches did they take? Was it a clearance? What kind of errors were there, and where's the origin of their errors? And then some of the outcomes of the scenario. And this is information that you can get. It can be easily plugged in, and then you can start to use this to tell a story of like a full story of where your goalkeeper's at, in conjunction with the rest of with your team. But you can obviously look at the zonal defense, so the through balls, the crosses, the cutbacks, open play and set pieces. You know, the type of delivery, where was it delivered to? You know, it was a defensive clearance. The defenders miss it, and you've had to react. Like, these are the type of things that you want to see, because if you can see what they're exposed to, you can see what we need to train. And then, you know, so then you look into this, the slide you're on now, and these are some of the other things you can look for. In terms of, you know, what the goalkeeper and the team are exposed to, the strengths and weaknesses, and the trends in the game, and so on and so forth. This is just a screenshot of the data entry pages that I use at the moment. And, so, you know, you've obviously got this, but, you know, this is where I'll enter the data. So I'll go through the spreadsheet, and basically kind of like when you're tagging a match, you know, you'll see an event come through. So I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but like, I think what you see there is an area for what are you in there, defending the space or area. So if a cross came in, for example, from open play, I'd be in this part of the screen. It was a high cross delivered towards near post. This is what I would probably be looking at, and then I would be filtering down. Did they attack? Did they decide to attack it? And then what was the outcome of that attack? Was it a catch, punch, deflection, so on and so forth? And then over time, you just enter the amount of events that occur during the game or training, and it sort of spits out how many have occurred, and then how efficiently did they deal with them. So like at the end of the game, I want to see how many crosses came from open play, how many of them were high crosses, how many of them were delivered to near post, how many did the keeper decide to attack and what happened, how many did the keeper decide to respond and what happened, and were they the right decisions? And then that's how we can look at how efficient they are in those moments of the game. And you do that through every moment of the game. So cutbacks, crosses, set pieces, penalties, everything like that. So they're just a couple of screenshots of where you'd enter the data there. And then this last screen is just having a look at basically how you would, this is the training footage, but how I've brought the opposition scouting reports into a training session, and then that training session sort of relating into the game there. So I think the first couple of clips there with Abby are defending some crosses and some headers, and in the game, and then we go into some training footage of how we basically replicate that in our training sessions in different stages and phases.
So really quickly, you know, before we move on to this, and Brody, this is some good stuff. I kind of want to get a little bit of back and forth between us here in regards to all of this, because I think some people might have some questions that through conversation we might be able to get through here. Saskia, you know, I'm looking at everything Brody does, and that looks amazing, but it's definitely it's time consuming, obviously, Brody, you know, to put all of this sort of thing together. You know, Saskia, I know that you're somebody that, let's just say, you're not as technically savvy as probably Brody, you know, like, what advice do you give to like maybe some older, and I'm not using that in a derogatory way, but let's just say coaches that came up in a different era, to incorporate this type of data, and maybe is it to have an assistant help them, or what abouts?
Well, I think it's, you know, take it slow. piece by piece. Don't try to jump into the deep end of the pool, and see where your strengths are and your weaknesses are. And, everything has a learning curve. Like figure out, bit by bit how to implement. Start with, your keepers and what what you're seeing in whether it's in video and everything like that, and then start implementing it into your system and into your stats board and into your data board, and just keep working on it. Look, it's all a learning curve for us old folks and stuff like that, or just get yourself an assistant. And the reason you still have to know, if you're going to use a tool to train your keepers, you need to know how to use it. And that's the bottom line. You need to be able to sit with them and say, this is what this means, this is how, this is why, and everything like that. So if you have an assistant doing it for you, you still don't know what you're talking about, then that's not a good thing either.
And I think it's just the same thing, Brody, as like when you go to convention and you see a session be put together, and then you just go home and just try to do that session and wonder, why isn't this working or whatever, because you didn't understand the context of why something was being done, and you didn't learn how to actually do the why. And my concern is, Brody, is people will see this and they'll just go like, great, I'm going to buy that software, and then they get home. Like, I don't know, this doesn't work for my U9 keepers. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've not found a software yet. I had to put this into, like, I built this on Excel, and I'm actually trying to find a way to, somehow get this out to help people, because the idea is I was having the same problems. I'm not very technically great, and I don't have, much free time. So I don't have time to sit and enter 1,000 bits of data, but I do have time while I'm watching the game to, instead of write notes, I push a button on a keyboard, and then after the match is like watched, it spits out what I would be writing notes and trying to find out that way. So this is just very, very early days. I'm basically trying to solve that problem for people. So who knows, if anyone's interested to have a play on this, on the Excel, let me know and I'll send it through, because, essentially it's as simple as just looking at the game and typing in, writing, that was what I saw, and it pops the rest out for you. Because you're right. Like, you don't want something to come in and take 3 hours to do. It's just not efficient. Like we spoke at the beginning of this is all about trying to find efficiency in how we coach, what we're coaching, why we're coaching it, and then the same for our players. Why do they do what they do? And it's the most important thing, is them understanding that. So yeah, for sure, if anyone wants to have a play at this, I know it looks intimidating with the colors, but essentially all you do is type a couple numbers in the white box. So I'll definitely show you if anyone's interested. For sure, reach out.
I think for somebody like myself, it is a little intimidating in regards to the fact that, like, I'm not a numbers person, I'm not a math person, I'm not. So
you don't have
metrics,
you don't
all
have
that
to do anything. It gives it for you. It says you're at this level, you're at this level, or you need to improve this, or you need to improve this. So it does all that for you once you put all the information in. But yeah, it's definitely, it took a long time to build. I won't lie.
I'm sure.
I can imagine.
Yeah. I want to talk about this, Saskia, because obviously we were talking about data, and now we're kind of seeing how all of this is kind of being put together in the session, because ultimately you can collect all the data, Sask, but like, if you can't actually properly find a way to incorporate that data into your session design to help these goalkeepers, then there's no point.
No, absolutely. But that's the goal? The goal of the data is it's not to have a pretty spreadsheet. It's to see where the deficiencies are, where the strengths are, and implement them. And so now, and you've asked me this before, like, what are your sessions going into, like, season? Well, it's dictated on a lot of this data and what the strengths that are showing themselves, for Abby Smith right now. What's going on? Is she too far off her line and getting, or this, and how do I now take this information from the past game or the past 3 games and really start incorporating that when we have our one-on-one time, or when I can set up drills with the team to work on this. Because at this level, you're tweaking things. You're tweaking inconsistencies. And so that's what this is used for.
Yeah. Brody, a question for you. So we're looking at this session right here. What data was collected to put this session together specifically that we're watching right now?
So yeah, this would have been a session. I would have, if you go back up to or you don't have to go to it, but the crosses and key passes slide is what I would have used, and video from opponents is what I would have used to sort of plan the design for this. Having a look at the different areas that they, take crosses from, where are they trying to hit their crosses, and where are their second phase shots going to come from. And this is just a variation or a fairly simple
I think
exercise on that.
And I think what's important about this is you get a lot of like goalkeeper coaches out there and stuff. Your keeper makes, let's say, gets beat in a game. Okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that next week you have to design all your sessions around the way they got beat in that game. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like, do you think that they're going to train that AD doesn't get hit off the post and her back and the ball go in the goal? Like, it was a fluke goal, You want to look at, like I said, inconsistency, something that's repetitive. I'm just using this. Did AD get beat and hit off the post because she isn't covering her near post properly? So go back to your data and see, well, how many goals have she given up near post, or how many rebounds, or is she out of position in that? Is that why that happened? That's one way. But just saying, we're going to practice this just because you gave up a goal from it, it's not productive.
Susky, you brought up such a great point right there, because I'm just thinking about just like from the recruiting process, right? The college recruiting process, and how many coaches, assistant coaches, especially who are not goalkeeper people, will walk by a field, see one action, write in their notebook, and that's the scouting report on that goalkeeper.
Oh, forget it. I used to say it on the sideline at UCLA. Like Amanda and them would look at me and go, what? I go, like, we train that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, sorry, that wasn't in our training scenario, a near ball that hits off the back of your head and goes in the goal. I can try, but sorry, but crap happens, So.
But I think the thing is, Brody, is like if you're like, let's looking, again, looking, let's say college recruiting stuff or youth club stuff right there. I can't tell you how many times it's the scouting reports are wrong because they've only seen the goalkeepers in 3 showcases, in one in a desert environment, another one in a winter environment,
and
another
they may
one
be playing with the best ECNL team, and you're not seeing much.
Yeah. Or they're like guesting for another club. They don't even know these players or whatever. And they're like, yeah, I saw so-and-so. And like, it seems like this is what they seem to always get caught in this situation or whatever. And it's like, are you sure about that? Or do you see them week in and week out with their club? And that's why it's so important, I think, for especially young players nowadays, Brody, to have the huddle, where they can really show their footage consistently, week in and week out to send to college coaches. I'm just using it as an example for somebody who's watching this, who's in that situation.
Yeah, video is massively important, as we said. And then, like you said, Sask, being able to record those trends. Like sometimes a one-off goal doesn't matter, but if it's happening, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but again, someone's got to record that, write it down, make sure that that's what's happening. And I think, we just have to take that responsibility, maybe as the coaches, or someone's got to build a tool to help us record this easy. Like, it's just, there's got to be something there for us to help this, I think, in college, so that it's not so reliant on, like you say, someone walking past one game and saying, oh, that's what I think of that goalkeeper 100% of the time.
Exactly.
And you've got no idea on what the context is. It's so important to understand context, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Even on the positive, I can't tell you how many times a goalkeeper has been brought into a camp and they weren't necessarily right for that camp because, well, I saw them at Disney and they made this amazing top hand save. And so we figured, we need to bring this goalkeeper in. And then they come in. It's like, I don't understand. It's like terrible in possession, can't handle crosses.
But that's a good point. Or you see somebody that's you think's great in possession, but what's the context? Is it every team that you've seen them play against, or a couple times there's like low pressure, low block,
Mm.
no pressure whatsoever. So they have 20 yards to make a nice crisp pass. And then the minute you get them under pressure, they're like kicking into attacker shins. So
So question for you, Brody. So let's say like when you're acquiring data and a player isn't with you, because obviously you brought in Abby this season, as a new goalkeeper at the club, and let's just say she had not been getting a lot of minutes, in the role that she was in, obviously, behind Bella. So how do you acquire data on a player that's not playing?
That's a really good
Yeah,
question. Sorry.
100%. I mean, what I had to do, we were using Instat at the time. And to be fair, I had to go over a lot of Abby's older clips to get a sense for who she is. And then, I'm lucky enough to understand Nadine quite well over in Portland. And so I understand how she works. So I know what Abby would have been exposed to over there. And so, yeah, basically I had to try and tie up my imagination with that side of things. And then what the stats were showing within her college careers. And the good thing, with Nstat, I think you can compare goalkeepers or players, and you compare different parts of their careers or different times of their careers. And so what I essentially did is I found all of the goalkeepers, and then I actually had a look at where they were when Abby's most amount of games were, I can't remember what season it was. Let's say it was, for the sake of it, 2020. She had more games. Then I would look at that year, but I would also compare other goalkeepers 2020 to that year, or use the same amount of games and try and find the same amount of games. And that would be the closest I can get to. But we still have the problem, if they don't play and there's no access to footage or anything like that, how do we find this information? It's through conversation, it's through opinions, it's through all of that type of stuff. And going through all of these websites and trying to find the closest picture you can get of what that goalkeeper is, again, based on the limited stats and the limited data. And so, I'm sure in the next couple of years we'll see this data and access to it, and what kind of information comes out. It will change. It'll be massive. There'll be a lot more to it. But for now, there's still, it's a lot of opinions. It's a lot of player agents. They have a big role to play in convincing people. At the moment, because the whole marketing and thing like that for players, which comes down to footage and access to that and playing, is huge.
Yeah.
Saskia, one thing I obviously, we were talking about this off the air yesterday, the fact of the new, applying for Division 1 status. We'll see what happens there, but more than likely a Division 2 league coming in.
No, I just came out today that they're going to try to rival the NWSL. So,
okay. Well,
I have so many opinions about that. It's not even funny. Like,
we need another hour for that one, or
I mean, it's like, I want people to look. We can go there. I want players to be able to play. And we want that. We want more opportunity, especially here in the United States, for women to be able to play and to play pro. I think that you're setting yourself up for a world of hurt. It's taken so long to get the NWSL off the ground, and maybe investors see, Bay Area just, they had to buy them for $150 million and stuff. It's not as easy. I think, you're competing in markets that, I'm probably going to have to talk about this weekend, maybe, if they let me. You're competing in markets that are, they're not major city markets. So I get the point on that. But I also think that you're competing in the fall, which is college soccer season, as well as college football season, and as well as football season. So you're in a tough zone there with a new league. Right. It's one thing if the NWSL kind of shifted over because they have their fan bases and stuff. But I think that with a new league trying to build a fan base, I think that's tough. And I think that I think it should be a second level league where you can get loans in the off season from the NWSL players. So your backup, so your other goalkeepers can go. Brittany Wilson can go for when the season's over and go on loan and play and get games in and maybe stay in that league and stuff. I just think it's a mistake. So,
Yeah, I mean, I will
Apparently,
let,
I will never work for them now, so it's fine.
I will let Brody abstain from that, so that he does not get fined like Julie Ehrman does. So
I know. I'm like, apparently now I will never work for them. I want to see it succeed. I really, really do. I just think there's a better way to do it. That's all. But what do I know?
well, let's focus on some positives, and obviously, Brody, shout out to Abby, this past week, in regards to the accolades and everything, because she's been having a very solid season. I want to play some of these clips right here, because based on all this analysis, all this data that you've been acquiring, you're putting these sessions together to benefit and make her successful in these actions. I'm not saying that you're solely responsible for her. Obviously, the goalkeeper puts a lot of the work in themselves, but you're helping guide them, and you're helping assist them and give them the tools. So let's go into this one right here. This is obviously just recently right here. My gosh, this is the 90th minute in extra time against Orlando. Kylie Strom plays in a whipped in swinger, I think it is. And it's towards the 6 right here. I think Ali Watt, it's on frame. Great reaction by Abby. And that's a world-class save right there, just to steer it out of danger. Why don't you kind of walk us through, what is going on in this scenario right here and how you guys have worked on this?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked a lot, and you'll see the clips. We work a lot on the first decision from the cross. Can we go and get it? If not, how are we moving to a position to make sure we're nice and balanced to deal with the header or volley that comes in. Looking at this, maybe she's a little bit deep to start, to come and take the cross, but she decides early that she's not going to come for it, and she moves her feet quickly and allows herself to set well, and she's quite balanced, ready for the header. But being picky, I think, could she start a little higher potentially, and then could she drop more, towards the line potentially? But that's looking at more principles from, if you're not coming to take the cross, but she gets the result, she gets the outcome. The timing is good to get set, and she makes a great push and a good save. That also gets us a draw.
Hey, that was massive.
No, I was trying to figure out if that was offsides. So I was like, well,
I think it was a second phase.
But she came back from an offside position to head the ball. So watch. So now she's off.
Yeah.
And then she drops.
It's an odd one.
And
I'll have to talk to the referees about that.
I'm kind of thinking maybe she was offside, maybe. But no, I agree. I agree. But again, now you're getting into if Abby can start higher, like if she's comfortable in that zone. I think that if she's comfortable where she is, it's not a bad starting position, because she's forcing the ball to be dropped in outside of the 6, out like by the penalty spot. So it's not really in a massive danger zone for a header right now. And then by dropping and resetting herself, she just does her micro movements. She doesn't have to readjust much. And now she can cover that. It's a great save, but she can cover it. And so I think that it is good. Just that it's just a 2-step drop really for her, so.
Yeah. And one of the things right here, just when I was just thinking about this in regards to like when you're acquiring data, Brody, like you also have to take into account, like, okay, you're also acquiring data on like what the goalkeeper's comfortable in, what starting position the goalkeeper's comfortable in,
Yeah, it's not black and white.
The goalkeeper, exactly.
No,
exactly.
It's gray. It's very gray.
And Mish might feel more comfortable in a different starting position than this, for the same action. And Saskia, I know
Casey Murphy might have been outside the 6. So it's
you never know.
like seriously.
Casey Murphy's like Victor Wembanyama, 7'4". Great action right there. Let's move on to this next one. This is a little bit of a different play right here. So this is the missed clearance ball against North Carolina inside the 18. It's at an angle. It's a little chipped cross that's kind of floated back in from Kiki to Clara Robbins. And there's not a lot of pace, but similar situation. Abby's in position, and she's smart to just be clean and handle that ball. I think a lot of young goalkeepers right there would just spill that ball or try to steer it, but they're steering it back into space where somebody could tuck that ball back in.
Yeah, she's done well there to hold it. We look at lots of different things. There's a lot of bodies in the box there, which is something that we try and replicate and train. Like very rarely does someone have a full sight at the goal. So there's a lot of bodies in there. You've got the fact that it was the clip is a little bit short, but it comes from across from this side, so it's second phase that she's having to reposition for, and before that cross comes in, she has to square up and go to the ball because they could sort of play that in behind to that 9, but she's also going to be ready for a clipboard, which she is. And then again, she could be ready for that little drop movement to get into position to hopefully be able to go left or right. And then in this case, she has to go back to her right.
Yeah, and and I think again that Saskia, like that little ball by Pickett, that's kind of floated in right there, allows her the time. If that ball had been driven with a little bit more pace, it might be of a different type of scenario, right?
Well, I think she would have still gotten there. I think she might have just I love that she got 2 hands to the ball, but I think that, maybe then maybe if it's a line drive, Heather, maybe it is steered around for a corner. But I think what's good is she doesn't over adjust too central so that she can't get back there, because if she over adjusts and doesn't do her micro steps and she's too central saying, well, I got to cover the whole goal in a sense. Like I gotta get as central as possible, because she's then she makes this really difficult for herself. So.
That's such a great man. Wow. This is why you're on TV. Because I didn't even recognize that right there, of the fact that she didn't make the full adjustment. She made a slight adjustment. Man, that's next level. Both of you guys, just next level. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then she comes up, she's pushing everybody forward. All right. This is against Angel City.
By the way, I think it was so wide open. What was that about?
What are they doing?
I'm get them out of the 6.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Because I have to think about it from another perspective now. I can't just talk goalkeepers with ants. So I'll be like, Pickett could have done better with that because she was wide open. And why was the defense inside the 6?
That's it. There's so many things, and that's why we call it a beautiful game. There's so many things.
Yeah, because people will look at this and like, oh, great save, blah, blah, blah. People are marked up. And first of all, Pickett was wide open. Second of all, the defense dropped too deep. They were inside. They were at the 5. So that's why Pickett was wide open. Get out of my box. So.
All right. I got to play an Angel City clip, right? You got to play an Angel City clip if Saskia's on the air right here. 38th minute.
To be fair, I thought about that after I did it all. I was like, oh no.
Oh no, it's totally fine. As long as you don't have Julie Ehrman yelling at the ref and getting fine.
No, I don't. I just have some pictures of your beautiful stadium and great fans.
Yeah.
There we go. So this is a corner. It's Claire Emsley. She plays this ball, in on the cross. It's another in swinging ball. We've noticed a trend right here already. Look, we're acquiring data right now on in swingers. But essentially she drops to the line because she realizes she can't get to that ball. And she makes a save on the near post. I think it's Sarah Gordon header in traffic. Yeah. Here's the thing. There's a slight spill right here, which obviously it's going to happen, especially in traffic, especially with that ball breaking away from you right there. But Abby's shape, when she gets up, do you recognize the fact that she's in a position still where she can still cover that dangerous area? And I don't think that's just unintentional. I think that's completely intentional, because then she's there for the recovery. Brody, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. After she spills it, she sort of puts herself in a position where, if there's a little toe poke or something, it might hit her. Potentially, you can look at, is the decision in this one because she's stretching for it? I can't see, and this is the beauty of having other footage. I can't see what happens to her feet, but I think it's behind Kristen, she looks like her foot maybe gets a little bit lost, and so she's then falling to try and get that ball. So if that was the case, I'd sort of encourage her to go, if you're not definitely going to catch it, maybe just push that out, because there's no one in that little wider area to safety, as opposed to dropping it there. But again, this was earlier in the season, and we're looking at our process for crosses, and that is, can you get it? If not, recover back, set on time, and be prepared to go to the side and make a save. In which case, she's done that here. Can it be tidier? Yeah, for sure.
But I love, Brody, one thing that you're saying, and Saskia, you've talked about this too, is that, these earlier games, this is where you're acquiring that data. And now later on in the season, this action's a little bit more successful because you've acquired that data, and you've been seeing these pictures over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right.
I was also going to say right here that, I think the intention of handling the ball there, probably right, and it's just an unfortunate incident.
Yeah,
but
I'll never knock anyone for trying to catch the ball at all. And then we just think about the tiny split-second decisions that people can learn to make is understanding, right, how comfortable am I right now? Like, am I in a stress situation and this isn't going to be a catch, to quickly be able to change and quickly adapt in that moment. Because, there's times where keepers will start moving and it takes a deflection, the ball's got to move, you have to adapt. So the more adaptable we are in any situation, the better. And that's what we're always trying to aim for with our training. But I will always encourage someone to try and test themselves and push themselves to catch that ball and secure the ball, or play a pass that's going to keep possession with our team, or break a line. And look, if they get picked off and beaten or dropped, like, whatever, like, it's more about the trying, because the person is perceiving something, they're trying to decide, make decisions, and then they're trying to execute. There's a lot that goes into what we all see on TV. And so sometimes,
even for me in that, like, I'm looking at the fact that what I really like, especially this early in the season, is she doesn't get drawn. So, and I keep seeing it over and over again and I tell young keepers this is when that player, when I can't tell who that is, it's not who is it? Weatherall coming across her for the initial corner kick. We see a lot of young goalkeepers get drawn. So they take that step forward. That's what that decoy is for. It's to pull you. And she just stays. It's like the person doesn't even exist. It's like the Angel City player doesn't even exist. It's what you want, right? It's exactly what you want. Now she's focused on the cross, focused on what Emsley's doing. The ball's too far out. She drops in and everything. We see some players that get, with that little step, get drawn. Oh, there's a player running. Are they going near post? Because they're assuming, and now she's out of position.
Correct. Yeah. And then all the timing gets affected and all that. It's so important for a goalkeeper to be cool, calm, and collected in these moments, where, as opposed to agitated and stressed and I've got to go and just chill.
Yeah, just
calmness
chill.
in activity.
Just chill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of chill, I wanna share this clip right here. And this is against Orlando as well. But this is a different game, though, Brody, right?
Because I had to call Orlando this weekend. So.
Oh, good.
I'm not sure if this is a different game or if this is the same game, but this was still looking at we're looking at the trend of like crosses. This, I think, is a second phase cross, and we have a look at the different. Again, Abby's got to have a look at the information here. What is she doing? Where does she go? What does she do when it gets played out into an area where they can strike from longer distance? So you can have a look at how she adjusts to the different stimulus in front of her. A little bit higher off her line in case she turns and swings to the left, but then she drops it back, and we can have a look at the repositioning.
And then I think so. What happens here is I think Villacorta, she plays the ball negative outside to Michaela Clough. She hits a one-time ball with separation, so she's got time to really bang that ball. It's not that far away from Abby, but it's hit with pace. And if she overshifts, she's probably making a meal of this. But because it's a slight shift, she's in a nice solid position. And just like Saskia loves, clean hands, holds on to that ball right there. So
for me, it's a little drop. It's a little drop step just there.
Yeah.
That just gives herself time. It allows her body to relax a little more. She's prepared to go anywhere once that ball is struck. And because there's so many bodies in front of her centrally, she's just got to give herself time to see any deflections, anything like that. If it was on the angle, depending on the context, we would talk different positioning. But for this one, I think she's done a good job of getting herself time. That little hop, she's so prepared there. It's easy. She's relaxed. She's not tense. She's not stressed. She's ready to go anywhere. If it hits a deflection, she's ready to respond.
And it's recognizing that, it's not that it's a new concept, but back in the day and stuff like that, it was always like, if you can take that pre-stretch forward, right?
Yeah.
Remember that pre-stretch
Down the line,
forward,
go down the line.
like then you're closing the angle and you're gonna have a better time at a save, right? But that's all in context, everybody listening. So usually that's inside the box. It's recognizing that the ball has left the box. It's 20 yards out. I've got to I got to get some depth here. One, to give myself time so I can cover the space, right? But that was it. That was back in the day. It was like, see, pre-stretch forward, really quick pre-stretch forward, but you would get beat. Like,
Close the angle. And
Look at this.
Like
this
me
is
gets chipped all
and it goes right over the top, and nobody understands why because I have to do my pre-stretch has to be forward, steal the space. That's in context. It's inside the 18. It's not at the top or outside the 18. So she does well to get depth here. It's true though.
If there's one thing that would have changed my life knowing that as a teenager, it would have been that I'm on the corner of the D trying to close the angle down.
But I'm supposed to get closer, not when it's that far.
yeah.
Closing the angle down, like you didn't tell me anything else. You just stopped after that. Oh my goodness.
I can't tell you how many shots were roofed over me by doing that. Just like, gotta cover. You got it.
Steal the
space. Yeah. So step
pre-stretch forward. No, and then it's like, no, guys, you got to get depth. Give yourself some time so you can cover from 20 yards out and everything. Yeah.
Oh my.
First person that brought that up with me was you all know Ian Foyer out here in Southern California, and he brought up the fact I'm like yeah, but you're tall. He's like, you're actually missing the point. You're smaller, which means you need more time. What are you doing? He's like, well, I was told, as you're smaller, you need to be more aggressive. He's like, dude, no,
not from there.
No,
but it's good. And see, like we said, there's so much that goes into this that people don't notice. And and that is, there's no pressure on the ball. She needs to get that depth there and then reposition herself with her body weight forward. So that's it's an easy save. There's so much that goes into making that look like an easy save that she could have made it really hard on herself.
Yeah. Just for time's sake, I want to move from this one. I want to move to this clip right here, because this is the one and only Dabinia, and I would be terrified if Dabinia was coming at me. I'll be completely honest.
Too.
This is the 20th minute against KC. It's a through ball by CC Kaiser to Dabinia right there, and Abby just holds position on the post. It's a slight shift across by Dabinia, but instead of attacking and being aggressive and trying to steal space, Abby holds that position. And because of that, Dabinia's got no angle here. She's going to have to slot that back post. It's going to be a very tough shot. And if she makes that, hey, congratulations to her. But Abby holds strong here, and it's a great kick save reaction right here up top.
Yeah.
I love her body language because she's not stressed out. Watch Dabinia come through on the through slided ball, and she's like, all right, I'll just reposition. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
So there's no anxiety. It's just like, I'll step here. Now, that's nice.
Yeah. That's something. Yeah, but you'd see so many keepers fly out here. You'd see so many keepers crouch
try to do the block or something.
Yeah, just relax.
You're in position, force her to beat you. Yeah.
Exactly. Don't overcomplicate it.
Nope.
No, but I think one of the things is that we talk about goalkeepers and using their strengths and stuff. It looks pretty obvious right there that in this moment that Abby is comfortable holding post right here, and that's what she wants to do, and she's confident in her decision. She's not thinking, oh, should I have come? Should I have held? Whatever. Because I can't tell you how many times, Brody, I've seen younger goalkeepers and even older goalkeepers kind of being like, and you can kind of see it in their face. It's like, oh man, I should have come. Oh no, I guess I got to hold now.
Well, and also what Dabinia is waiting for is for her to come. So she's
she's
going to take this touch and say, oh, cause come, I'm either going to slide it or I'm going to tuck it by you. And she does it. And now Dabinia's like, crap, what do I do? And then she puts it back on her other foot, and now she's got nowhere to go.
Yeah. And just like Saskia, like you always talk about manipulating the players to make the actions that you want them to make, as opposed to the other way around. It's just absolutely next level. Well, Brody, man, I appreciate you taking this time. I mean, I know it's already getting to be 6:00 over there on the East Coast, and you guys are in the middle of the season. Do you guys have a Challenge Cup game? Do you guys have that coming up?
No, we've had not tonight. I think there's another couple games on. We had our 2 Challenge Cup games last couple of weeks. So we're off to OL Reign this weekend.
Ooh,
which will be exciting. Yeah.
OL Reign, soon to be known as Rain, apparently.
Rain, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I call him Rain anyway.
Well, no, did you guys all hear about that? About the Leon Washington thing?
Yeah, with Michelle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I heard all about that. I try to keep in touch of the news.
You do great.
I try to do my best. There's so many leagues. I try to follow as much as I can of every league and be responsible. Brody, honestly, this is awesome, man. If people want to I know you're obviously an open book. You're somebody that loves to share. How's the best place for people to connect with you and maybe get, this presentation?
I think I have
your for sure.
Challenge Cup.
Yeah, you can just reach me on Instagram. Probably the best way at the moment. Brody K Sams is my handle. And just, for sure, ask any questions. Happy to share anything. Happy to share the presentation. Happy to, ask or dive into anyone, who wants to look into the data side of things and to find a way to report and record information that can help you and athletes and you as a coach. Let me know, because I'm trying to build something, because there's nothing for us. So
I think it's awesome.
And if you're interested, just ask for sure. We'll be happy to share.
Well, and if you want to make sure that Brody gets that message, that it doesn't go to his spam box, you can DM him on the Union with his handle over there, which I believe is the exact same handle right over there. Honestly, guys, if you want to reach out to us, do it on the Union. Shout out to all you guys, by the way, who signed up last week for the breakdown session with our own Saskia Weber last Saturday. Some great stuff right there. And we're very excited to continue these going on with different pro players and coaches. So please comment, on or send a DM or, make a comment in the forum on the Union and tell us which coaches, which players you would like to see. Also, we're planning on doing an East Coast and a West Coast this time, Brody, because some people are on the field at certain times and other people are at dinner at certain times. So we want to make sure that we can balance it for both coasts right there. And if you're international, please let us know that you want to attend too. We'll try to find times that are accommodating for all the different time zones except for Australia, which I don't know how to do that.
Look, it is so hard. It is so hard. I think they're tomorrow.
It's already tomorrow. It's tomorrow there and
Japan.
Japan.
They're tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
Tomorrow and Japan too. So.
Yeah. Actually, Brody, if you could post the presentation on the Union, I think that'd be really useful for people. If you could just put it in the forum right there, I think that would be great. Guys, if you want to reach out to us for a guest suggestion or topic suggestion, Siskia's giving me the Academy Award.
No, I'm not. No.
That's what you were doing, when they play off the music.
No, I would have just played music.
Oh,
I should start doing I should start doing that, actually.
Start playing music. All right, we're heading to the Vanity Fair party, guys. Contact at InsideThe18media.com or at Goalkeeper Podcast on the Union. And we are out. Later, guys.